Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you today, and today, man, we got a great topic to discuss today. We're going to be talking about, should you buy a Can-Am Spyder or should you buy a Harley Tri-Glide? Now, there are other trike manufacturers out there. There are a lot of them, as a matter of fact, but most of them are companies that do aftermarket configurations. So what I'm trying to do is narrow it down to the two that actually come from the factory. You'll have a full manufacturer's warranty, and you're not messing around with all the nonsense. And those two big hitters are the Can-Am Spyder and the Harley Tri-Glide. But before we get going on this riveting conversation, I want you to do me a favor, give the video a big old thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. We're going to be talking about all things two wheels and three wheels, and it's going to be really cool. All right, so I am obviously a BRP Can-Am ambassador, so I know what you're going, Coach, well then you're going to try to sell me the Spyder. No, that is not my goal. I want you to know that's not my goal at all. My goal is to inform you. I want to give you the information about the Can-Am Spyder and the information about the Tri-Glide in a clear, concise, and well thought out way. If you have any questions about this where you want to further discuss this, leave a comment down below. I can either answer the comment, or it is quite possible I can make a follow-up video that would maybe be a shorter form than this one. But let's talk the first thing. Let's talk about styling. You know, styling is awfully objective. The Can-Am Spyder, this is a 2024 Can-Am Sea to Sky edition. This particular model is a European flare. If you were to think Ducati of the trike world, that's what you would think of when you think about the Can-Am Spyder. Now, I know you Ducati aficionados are going, that's not a Ducati, Coach. No, it's not. But the styling cues are very European. Now, the Can-Am is Canadian made, so it's not made in Europe like the Ducati or the Triumph and that sort of thing. But it doesn't have the American feel to it. It doesn't have the Harley feel to it. It is going to be that sporty looking. It's going to have a very sports car feel as you snap into the corner and out of the corner. It's going to have that feeling to it. We'll talk about handling in a moment. But let's continue with the styling cues. More on here is going to be plastic. It's not going to be heavy metal. It's going to be plastic, and that's just the way it is, like it or not. It's going to be very aerodynamic in its approach. Everything is nice and streamlined on it as compared to the Harley Davidson. The Tri-Glide, for anyone who is a Harley person, the Tri-Glide is going to have that nostalgic Americana feel. The Harley Davidson, I'm going to tell you, the fit and finish of the Harley Davidson is second to absolutely none. It should be top notch because it costs top notch, that's for doggone sure. But the fit and finish is beautiful. It's heavy metal. It is American iron. It is everything that you think of when you think of Americana, when you think of that folklore in America of hopping on that iron horse. That's what the styling cues are. It's a lot of chrome. It's an exposed engine as opposed to a concealed engine on the Spyder. It is a loud rumbling exhaust as opposed to a quiet exhaust on the Spyder. It's a completely different feel when you ride it. Just the feeling you get as you're on it, you feel different. When you ride the Spyder, you're going to feel the European sensibilities in there. It's going to be handling and finesse. When you ride the Harley, it's going to be nostalgic, American, and grunt. So in your styling cues, they're vastly different. They're both beautiful in their own right. You're going to have to decide on that. But I do believe that is a very, very important one. And as most people, that weighs very heavily on what they choose to ride, what it looks like, and if they just like the way it looks. So that's the first thing you're going to have to figure out is which one do you like the way it looks the best. Okay, so what is the next thing? Let's talk about performance. So now performance can be multiple categories. It can be braking, acceleration, handling through the turns, that sort of thing. Pure horsepower, torque, that sort of thing. So let's do the comparison here. Now, as you know, I have a Harley Davidson sitting in my garage. It's a Milwaukee 8. It's a 114 in a Harley Heritage. It's a great motorcycle. It's very nostalgic feeling, obviously by the title, Heritage. So I understand the torque and the feeling of the engine of the Harley Davidson because I have one, and I've ridden them, well, probably longer than I've ridden any motorcycle in my lifetime. So let's talk about engine performance. Let's talk about that first. The engine performance on the Spyder is going to be higher revving, and the performance characteristics are night and day different. They are just completely different. You cannot compare them, and the only way that you're going to know which one you like is to ride both of them. They both have their beauty to them, and they both lack. So what do I mean by that? Okay, if you get on the Spyder is absolutely silky smooth. The engine performance is smooth. It's high revving, but it's extremely balanced. You don't hear the engine largely. It's there, it's present, but it is not overwhelming. It is not controlling your mind at all. It's a part of the landscape. It's not a focal point of the landscape. As compared to the Harley Davidson. The Harley Davidson is a V-twin, and that V-twin has certain vibration to it. That vibration, it's there. The engine, the drivetrain is noisier. It's intended to be. It's made to be that way. With a proper set of pipes, that darn thing will talk to you, and I will tell you that the sound of the engine becomes a very center point of the Harley Davidson experience. The Harley Davidson does not have high horsepower. It's well under 100 horsepower, whereas the Can-Am is 115. But where it excels is torque. The Harley Davidson is a torque monster. The way I describe it to my European brothers who ride sport bikes, think tractor. Think it will pull a tree stump out. That's how a Harley feels when it comes off of the line. It is pure torque machine, and it's really quite magnificent. But it's a completely different feel than the Can-Am Spyder. It doesn't mean that the Harley won't go fast enough because it lacks horsepower. On the contrary, it will go plenty fast. So will the Spyder. They just do it with a completely different feel. And the only way you're going to know is to sit on one and decide, do I like the higher revving, quieter, more smooth Can-Am Spyder, or do I like the lower revving, vibrating, grumbling V-twin American Harley engine? They're both beautiful in their own way. You're just going to have to check it out for yourself, and you need to ride one in order to fully understand what I'm talking about. All right, next is braking performance. Braking performance is, honestly, to me, this is the one thing that I can be completely objective in and tell you that the Spyder hands down will stop better than the Harley. It just will. There's no comparison. I've ridden them both. The Harley does have high quality brakes on there, but what we all know is that the majority of your stopping power is on the front of your motorcycle. So therefore, the front of the Harley has one narrow tire as opposed to two broad tires that look almost like car tires. And those two broad tires on the front, when you hit those big Brimbos and that weight is transferred forward, it just stops. It stops unbelievably. So performance on stopping, that's one that you want to compare, but when you compare it, don't expect it to even be close. What you have to do is decide, am I willing to accept the stopping power because of other things that I like better about the Harley than I do about the Spyder? Because the braking, again, there's no comparison. That's just the way it is. And this is from a guy who's ridden Harleys and owns a Harley. But I'm also objective and go, I understand what this thing does. All right. So the other thing is acceleration. So 0 to 60 out of the hole. I would say that the Harley will probably get you there faster. That might surprise some people. My Harley out of the hole does a great job. And I rode a Tri-Glide here recently, and it did a great job. It would get you in a straight line 0 to 60 with all that torque, man. It just snatches you. It's awesome. It's not going to rip your arms out of the sockets, but it's going to pull, and it's going to pull harder than the Spyder. And there again, you need to ride both of them and make a decision. Do I want the torque for acceleration, or do I want the smoothness that the horsepower provides? There again, It's very, very important that you feel that and you understand it. You don't want to buy one and then regret it. So the next thing in the performance is the physical handling of them. So a winding road, what is going to do better on, say, the tail of the dragon? A Can-Am Spyder or a Harley Tri-Glide? I'll be honest with you, I think if you're in the trike world, it's really not going to matter to you a whole lot, because you're not going to be riding like you're on a sport bike. You're just not. You're going to be riding a trike, a three-wheeled motorcycle. And therefore, is that one of those things that is not real critical? I would say it's critical in the sense that if you need to maneuver around things, the Spyder has a leg up on it. It just does. And there again, that is simply because your steering forces, because you're not counter steering, you're on a trike, your steering forces, you have more surface patch on the ground for the two tires in the front of the Spyder, and therefore it is going to handle with greater accuracy. It just is clear and smooth as to what it does. So the handling on the Spyder is second to none. It's just wonderful. All right, so let's talk about fit and finish. Fit and finish. Now, fit and finish is one of those things where you go, okay, well, they're just different machines. They are different machines. All I can say is think old American cars. Think old American cars with the Harley Davidson. They're metal. They had that real heavy paint and lacquer on them. You know, Harley guarantees its paint surfaces. It's unbelievable. They do. They guarantee their paint surfaces. You look at the chrome plating, all of the alignment of everything on the Harley. And the Harley, I'm telling you, I will put it up against anything on this planet. I don't care what it costs. I don't care if it's a $100,000 car or a $30,000 motorcycle. The Harley finish is top dog. It's just superior, and there's nothing that anyone can do or say to convince me otherwise, because I've just observed it. And I haven't observed it for a week. I've observed it for decades. They've always done it. If you walk up beside, like, say, for a metric cruiser that wants to look like a Harley Davidson, there's zero comparison. So the fit and the finish of the Harley Davidson Tri-Glide, you're not going to beat it. You're not going to beat it. It wins in that category. All right, so what is the next thing we need to discuss between the two? Let's talk about niceties, right? The beauty of heated grips and heated seats and all of that stuff. Now, the Harley has all that stuff, but I'm going to tell you that Harley charges a pretty penny for those things. The Can-Am, when you go into the RT Limiteds and you go into the Sea to Sky Edition, you're going to get everything. It's going to have the heated seat. It's going to have the heated grips. It's going to have cruise control. It's going to have CarPlay. It's going to have all of those things on it. The Harley, when you get into the upper echelons, they'll have those things, but you're going to pay extra for them. It's just the way it is. Do they work as well? I'm going to tell you the heated grips on the Spyder, and maybe it's because it's a Canadian company, work better than on anything I've ever ridden, whether it be the Harley, the BMW, or my Triumphs. The heated grips on this thing, I'm telling you, you could wrap a piece of bread around it and eat toast in 10 minutes. These things get warm and they work. And they worked on my 19 model, and it works on the 24, it'll work on the 25s. The heated gear on this thing is amazing. The heated gear on the Harley works great, but nothing compares to this. I'm just going to tell you. So if you were to ask me, Coach Bob, in the beginning when you were looking at three-wheelers and you had decided you're going to get a three-wheeler, well, I decided I was going to get a three-wheeler because my wife is in a wheelchair and we were going to go across the country. So I knew I was either going to buy a Tri-Glide or a Can-Am Spyder. Honestly, I was leaning towards the Tri-Glide. Just quite frank with you, I was. Because it's what I knew, and I like the feeling of the Harley Davidson a lot. And so I thought, I'm going to get a Harley Davidson. Well, when Coach Vic and I decided that we were going to do this trip, I had the ability, because of friends of mine, to ride pretty much anything I wanted. I have friends who own motorcycle dealerships, and they're nice to me. Getting Coach Vic on and off the Tri-Glide was a real chore. With the wheels in the back, as I was picking her up off of her wheelchair and putting her on the seat, those wheels in the back got in my way, and I was stumbling and tripping around and beating that back fender up with her wheelchair. And it was going to be very, very difficult on days where I'm putting her on and off of the motorcycle a dozen times. It would be very difficult for me to contend with those back wheels because they were just in the way. And for that reason alone, I came to the conclusion, if the Spyder performs well at all, if it just performs reasonably well, I will get it, because I can actually get to that seat to put her in that seat. So rode the Spyder. I was amazed, honestly. The engine characteristics I liked okay, because I had ridden European bikes before, but quite honestly, I deserved the rough and grumble. That is intentional too, not rough and tumble. The rough and grumble of the Harley Davidson engine, because I had ridden one for 20 years. But as far as highway characteristics, the handling, the braking, I was absolutely flabbergasted at how sensitive the steering was and how fast the machine stopped. I was blown away with that. And then I looked at the price, and then I was really blown away. All of those things combined is why I made the decision to go with the Spyder. Now time has gone by, years have gone by. Do I have buyer's remorse? Do I regret the fact that I got the Spyder and not the Tri-Glide? On the contrary, I love my Spyders. I love them, and I plan on riding them and always having one in the garage. It won't be the only thing I have in the garage, but in the three-wheel category, it will be the only three-wheeler I have in my garage. This is the one. This is the one for me. All right. Well, before I get talking about price, I want you to do me a favor. Give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and all that jazz. You know I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right, well, as of the making of this video, I have not sat down and looked at the 2026 models MSRP. I'm just going to be quite honest with you, but I'm going to drop them right up here as the video plays. You know, Harley has done a lot of adjusting of its line, and they've done away with the Road King. They've cut a lot of weight off of their touring bikes, a lot of weight over the last 3 years. It's unbelievable the amount of weight they've trimmed. They're going to a bigger displacement. I mean, there's a lot that Harley's doing on their touring models, and I don't know the direction they're going to go as far as price is concerned. But I know I was in the showroom last week, and there was not a dresser on the floor that was under $34,000 that I saw. If it was $33,900, you know. They were all that 34 range. When you're looking at the street glides, and you're looking at, and these are two-wheelers, if you're looking at the street glides, and you're looking at the road glides, and certainly if you're looking at the ultras, they're really, really, really expensive. The trikes are normally more expensive than them. There's more things going on there. You know, Harley, I was told by a little birdie means a service guy for Harley, that they're going to go to independent suspension on the rear end, and I believe that'll be a game changer as far as helping the handling of the Harley, and I look forward to riding one and giving you my thoughts and opinions on that very thing. But I do know this, that nothing's cheap, y'all. Nothing's cheap. The Can-Ams over the last few years, I've seen a lot of new old stock. In other words, we are entering 2026. You'll find some 2025s at good deals. You may even find a couple of remaining 24s that could be screaming bargains. So they're out there. You just got to look. As far as finding a negotiating point on the Harleys, I don't know what you're going to find. I know when I bought my latest Harley, and it was secondhand, they dealt with me, you know, they discounted and all that stuff, and they did a great job, by the way. The dealer did a wonderful job. I'm going to do a video on that here very soon. Understand that I find that negotiating price on the Spyder is better than negotiating price on the Harley Davidson market. It just is, for whatever reason. I want to address one more thing before we go, and this is very, very important, I believe. Cost of maintenance. You know, most people, I think, in the Spyder community would go, well, Spyders are ridiculously expensive to maintain, and therefore the Harley's going to be cheaper. And I'm just going to tell you, they are wrong. You know, I'm getting new tires and stuff put on my Harley at the end of January. And I won't say that you had to pick me up out of the floor when I priced new tires and a service. But I will say this, that 2 new tires and a service was twice as much as new tires for this and a service. We'll just let that go at that. That isn't a bashing, that's an observation. And that's someone who understands, I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it. But understand, if you are afraid of service fees, then you don't need to be in the motorcycle world anyway, because none of these things, none of them, let me repeat that, none of them are cheap. None of them are cheap to maintain. None of them. Services are way more than a car. Tires are more expensive than cars. The shop time is more expensive. It's just expensive, and you're just going to have to come to grips with that. As far as dependability, I know people who have screamed the woes from the mountaintop of how they hate Can-Am, and I've heard that likewise, I've heard the same about Harley Davidson. I had a friend of mine who recently had been riding Harleys for honestly 30 years. He's riding Goldwing now. He got so mad at the motor company, he sold his Harley and said, I'll never ride another one. And you know, it's just where he is. And he's not ready to go to 3 wheels yet. But he told me, I'll never ride a Harley. I won't ride a Tri-Glide, I won't ride a Harley. He's PO'd about it. And I know people who have sold their Can-Ams and go, I'll never buy a Can-Am again. I will never do it. BRP made me mad. They didn't treat me the way I wanted them to, and therefore I'm finished. I'm done. So that's a two-way street, and that's true with every manufacturer out there. So understand that. I just want you to come to grips with service and warranties and all of those things. No matter what you ride, you have to understand this is part of the game. It's not a fun part of the game, but it's still that grim reality that we all must face. All right. Well, there's my views and my opinions on everything Harley Tri-Glide and Can-Am Spyder. Do I think that one is a clear-cut winner and one a clear-cut loser? Well, honestly, there is for me, and there will be for you. But I can't tell you which one it will be for you. I can only tell you which one it was for me. My job is not to sell you something, is not to convince you. I don't, in fact, on the contrary, I don't want to convince you. What I want is for you to go out and ride and determine which is the best for you. That's what I want for you. Because when you get it, it's yours. You're going to pay a lot of money, and you need to enjoy what you got. You know, it's not enough to have what you want. You got to want what you have. All right. Well, there's another one in the books. I want you to do me a favor. You, yes, you, go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself. And remember, if you're not having fun, you are most definitely doing it wrong. Now, you go seize the day, and I'll see you on the road real soon.